I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can.
Imagine how your life will be like in the next 5 to 10 years. How is the feeling like? It's a good feeling, right? Yes, that is it. My name is Kekeli. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscription button so that anytime we upload a new video on purpose and how to discover your greatness, you'll be the first to receive it. Today we want to look at lessons from the creation story. Do you know who the greatest manufacturer is? In Genesis chapters 1 and 2, we are presented with a profound creation story. You know, we all look at it as a creation story, but it was something more than that. The Bible tells us that in the beginning the world was formless and void, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the deep. Then God spoke, "Let there be light," and there came forth light. What you have to take note of is that in the beginning there was confusion, there was darkness, total darkness, and nothing was in place. But something also happened. The Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the deep. This means that where there is darkness and there is lack of opportunity, there can be an opportunity. And this opportunity has to be seen from a different realm, and that is called the spiritual realm. So though there was total darkness and confusion, God saw a spirit, and that is his spirit, over the surface of the deep before he was able to speak, and then light came. In the darkness, in the confusion, God brought forth light, and then God said it was good. It happened from day 1, day 2, day 3, up to day 5. But on the 6th day, something profound happened. God said, "Let us make man in our own image and after our likeness." What God wanted to do was that he wanted to project himself. Don't forget, God is spirit. So what he wanted to do was that he wanted to project his divinity into a physical component that will reflect a true image of himself. So God said that let us make man in our own image and after our likeness. So the Bible tells us that. Alright, so we see that God made two things in the beginning. So the Bible said that in the beginning God created heaven and earth. There was no problem with heaven, but for the earth, the Bible said that it was formless and void. Then God put it in order by making everything from day 1 to day 5. Then on the 6th day, he created man. Now the question is, why should God create man? What is the purpose of man? Very simple. The reason why God created man is for man to continue in the creation process of God. Because we heard that after God created man, God breathed into man a breath of life, meaning that God put into man his totality and divinity. So what God can do is what man can do. So it means that man is created to create. Man is created to bring that which wasn't into existence, because we were told that in the beginning there was nothing. But out of the imagination of God, he brought everything into existence. And don't forget that when God said that let us make man in our own image, God was also telling us that there was something that wasn't in place, that is man. But let us bring man forth that wasn't there. So God created man. So from the imagination of God, God saw himself coming into a physical component that will exhibit the same character as God. So if you want to verify this fact for yourself, that we are created to create, look around you in the entire world. The cars, the engineering skills, all the new inventions, all the wealthy people, what can you identify them with? They are creators, and they are just reflecting exactly what God has created us to be. Men like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Henry Ford, these people are creators. Show me a wealthy man, and I will show you a man who has created something. Show me a poor man, and I will show you a man who has created nothing. So you see, we are born to reflect that true image of God. Because when God was creating man, he said, let us create man in our own image and after our likeness. And God is a creator. So he has created us to do exactly what he does. As I said earlier, we are God's because we are created by God, as the Bible says. The next lesson we can pick from the creation story is that we should learn to use our imaginative power. With imagination, we can go beyond the physical world and do the impossible. As it is often said, if all that you see is what you can see, then it means you are not seeing all there is to be seen. Albert Einstein put it best. that imagination is better than knowledge, because knowledge can only pick you from A to B, but imagination encircles the world. With imagination, what you can imagine is what you can have. That is why we are told that we should walk by faith and not by sight. This is not just about religion, but it's for all of us. If you have to achieve something in this world, then you have the ability to see beyond what the world can see. With imagination, you can achieve what God has created you to achieve. Imagine what the Wright brothers were thinking when they imagined if human beings could fly. It looked humanly impossible by then, but look at us today. The number of aircraft we are having flying all over the air. Martin Cooper, for instance, imagine if he could talk to anyone, irrespective of your location on the planet. It also looked humanly impossible. But look at the number and the brands of mobile phones we are having. It tells you that with imagination, there is nothing you cannot do. So for you to be able to do what God has created you to become, you should be able to tap into your imaginative power, because nothing is impossible. And never let anything place limitation on you. And it is often said that the only limitation we have is the one we place on ourselves by our minds. But I'm telling you today that let the only limitation that you have on yourself be the one placed on you by times and seasons and the possibility of God for your life. Don't be limited by even your thinking. Think outside the box and you will achieve what God has created you to achieve. So the power of creation is imagination. We can only bring new things into existence when we have learned to be able to use our imaginative powers through the subconscious mind instead of using our conscious minds. When we look at the creation story, the Bible says that, and God said, let us make man in our own image. Man wasn't there, but God imagined man being in his own image. It was out of imagination that God even created man. So you see, for us to come out with the ability of creation, we have to learn to use our imaginative powers. So from the creation story, we have learned that the reason why God created us is to continue in his creation ability. So for us to be able to complete that assignment on earth, we must be able to live from our imaginations and not from our conscious minds. Because with our minds, we can only see that which is possible for us. But when we are living in our imagination, we will know that nothing limits God. Therefore, nothing will be able to limit us, because we are created in the very image and likeness of God. And what God can do is what we can do. So Jesus put it best, that occupy till I come. Jesus told us that what he has done, we can do more if we believe in him. Meaning that nothing can limit us and nothing will be able to overcome that creative power in us. So whatever you want to do in this world, don't let anything scare you. Don't let your environment scare you. Believe in yourself and know that the best solution comes from your imagination. And if you begin to imagine, all that comes is possibility. Let's try this and see. Just imagine 5 to 10 years of your life. You see that all you can imagine is good things. Can you tell me you are imagining finding yourself in prison in the next 5 to 10 years time? Can you tell me you imagine being a poor man? Not at all. All that you can imagine is a good life, a better life. You living the best out of yourself. That is the power of imagination. But if you are thinking with your mind, you are limited to the things you've seen, your environment, and things that are surrounding you. So you are going to make that. Please, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the subscription button below, so that anytime we upload a new video on purpose and how to discover your greatness, you'll be the first to receive it. Please leave at the comment section which of the lessons you liked most from the creation story, and don't forget to ask any question on purpose and on any subject that interests you, and then we'll respond to you quickly. God bless you and stay safe. You have greatness within you, and I believe in you more than you believe in yourself.